we've been talking about sort of breaking the model for how we look at the budget and how we look at solutions. And I think, David, you were suggesting that we need to look at things from a new perspective. Uh, Let me ask you, what would be a good process for sort of changing the budget process so that we would
Well,
look at it from this new paradigm that you're discussing?
yeah. Well, the first thing I need to weave in a little bit of my sarcasm. Congress, the staff, the folks even sometimes we're dealing from the White House, other places, and this has been going on for years. It's both parties. There's this avoidance mechanism of telling the truth. Because if you and I were to go out and do a public town hall, you find out it's an army of folks who want things. They don't necessarily want to hear the fact that interest now is more than defense. That defense is actually number 4 on the spending hierarchy. Medicare being number 3, interest number 2, Social Security being number 1. And the problem is the political class, I think in many ways lies. They just plain out lie because the truth is painful. And in the way our system is set up, I'm grown very cynical that the system is not capable of doing the budget restraint without a crisis. Problem is the crisis at these levels of debt would be just devastating. If interest, there's a model out there that basically says if we went back to the mid 2000s where interest rates on US sovereign was about 6%, in 9 years, 45% of all tax collections are just interest. Moody's last week said even in the current environment, in 9 budget years, 30% of all tax collections will be just interest. So what happens in a world where we're not capable of either telling the truth or dealing with the insatiable demands? Are people making things up? They stole my Social Security money. No, they didn't. Its primary driver of our debt is demographics. Are you going to have to do like we did, 30 years ago on the BRAC type commission, where we had an excessive number of military facilities? No one wanted one closed that was in their congressional district, so you had to do it as a package. I am blessed. I represent one of the best educated, a fairly prosperous, urban, suburban congressional district. People like me have been able to survive telling the truth about debt, deficits, demographics. A lot of members are terrified to tell that truth. Maybe we now need to separate it and do it as a freestanding commission with a single up and down vote that convinces the bond markets that we're getting serious about stabilization of debt. We're not going to pay it off. You got to understand, we have to get through this demographic bubble, which is massive. But we could stabilize this growth of this debt. And there's even a path where we have math where we could get down to 3% of GDP. This year, when the economy up until this trade battle was pretty stable, one of our economists has us borrowing 7.3% of the entire economy just for this year. And it just gets worse in the future.
Is that something that we should be thinking about for this year's budget process? I mean, you've got a budget resolution over from the Senate and reconciliation bills to come.
Well, first off, on the idea of a debt and deficit commission, every group that cares about this should be screaming. They should coordinate together, demand, because turns out there's lots of lobbying on the other side to stop it. Groups that are afraid, it might raise, they may change revenues. They may cut spending. They may require us to compete. They may require us to adopt technology. So there's lots of inputs that hate the concept of any fiscal sanity, any fiscal constraint. And there's the structural problem of your government right now. Our government is all the incentives are aligned to just keep spending until the bond market blows up on us.